The subject which today we call Earth Mysteries really started back in 1925 when Alfred Watkins, an amateur archaeologist in Herefordshire, made a simple but startling discovery that prehistoric sites align with each other over great distances and that these alignments form radiating patterns. His theory was that the lines represented waymarks for the traders. But the subject of Earth Mysteries, which has built on his ideas since the 1960s, seems to have found other implications. This display to honour Watkins' work was displayed in Weybridge Museum some years ago. The other part of the display illustrates Watkins' achievements in photography. He developed the first practical exposure meter, and the device in the foreground is an example of one of his meters. He called the alignments leys, and we'll first consider the types of points that he accepted as ley points. Firstly, there were the prehistoric mounds or tumuli, often on a ridge as these are, and visible from a great distance. A close-up of the mounds, the pretty 9 barrows in Somerset, with my daughter showing the size. The ancient sites are in constant danger. This shows all that's left of a tumulus in Hampshire, being encroached by a sand quarry. Stones are another of Watkins' mark types. These are part of the famous Avebury stone circles in Wiltshire. Even taller, the Worplesdon monolith in Yorkshire. The name comes from rood stone, probably because of a cross that was once fixed to the top. It's the tallest prehistoric standing stone in England. But many mark stones are much smaller. This one outside the porch of Wisley Church in Surrey is on a very interesting ley that was investigated by our group. Stones very often seem to be associated with churches, although of course they're very much older. This is part of the Stanton Drew complex in Wiltshire. A lovely little stone circle I came across in Nanach in North Wales. A close-up of one of the stones which has a similarity to a lion's head. I've noticed this on many stones in many circles all over the country, including Avebury, and call such stones lion stones. My daughter Emma, pictured here, is now 19 and at university. This could easily be another English standing stone. In actual fact, it's the Menhir grandson in Switzerland, showing that these stones, and probably the alignment system as well, goes far beyond the limits of this country. When Watkins found that many ancient churches fell on the leys, he had a problem, because obviously these sites are not prehistoric. But then he explained this by referring to a letter from Pope Gregory to Abbot Mellitus in the 7th century, which said that pagan temples should not be destroyed but converted into churches. In fact, many churches are built on prehistoric sites. This one is at Knowlton Henge in Dorset, a very spectacular sight when seen from the air. Avebury Church, unable to dominate the gigantic monument, was built just out of sight of it. It's on a very interesting 5-church alignment which passes through the centre of the henge. Crossroads are even more controversial, but Watkins surmised that the site of crossroads could be much more ancient than the roads leading into them today. And in fact, going to many crossroads, he found ancient stones there, as I did at this one in Somerset, after I'd found an alignment going through the crossroads. Stretches of path and straight track are also often found aligning with leys. This one aligns with the stone at Wisley Church porch that we saw earlier. Looking in the other direction along this path, we can see that it aligns with the spire of St Mary's, Byfleet, although it's too small to come out on this photograph. Finally, the most controversial lay point of all, but one which crops up time and again all over the country. The clump of trees, usually Scots pine. Obviously these trees can't be prehistoric, and even if seeded from more ancient ones, it's hard to see how the clump could have remained in the same place, precisely the same place, for thousands of years. Yet they're found on leys all over the country, in every area I've visited. Here is a track and a deciduous clump on a line leading to Mickleham Church in Surrey, seen from Druid's Grove. Now we come to the more mysterious aspects of the leys. Discovered mainly in the 1960s, although were mentioned in some of the old straight track material produced by Alfred Watkins. These are the mysterious energies known as earth energies, often found at lay points. Strange tingling feelings felt from ancient stones, or sensations in the head felt by some people at such places as this, Byfleet Church in Surrey. This is in fact one of the most powerful lay points in this area. Ley lines can also be detected by dowsers using rods or the pendulum. A lot of research into ley energies has been done at the Rollright stones, and also our own group is just starting a project to investigate one particular ley running across the Surrey countryside from Pitch Hill near Guildford to the Kent border. One interesting finding is that leys aren't straight lines with no width. They do have a specific width, and the one we were following was about 70 feet wide. This church at Lastingham in Yorkshire is one of the most powerful spots I've ever visited. Here in the nave, it's about as powerful as Byfleet Church. But if you go down into the crypt, which was only fairly recently discovered, the power increases dramatically, and some people find it difficult to stay there for very long. Another very mysterious phenomenon is that which we call subconscious sighting. Far more modern churches, or relatively modern churches, than should, occur on leys. Why this is, we have no idea. This church is St Augustine's in Addlestone, built in 1939, and we could find no evidence for previous church on this site. Yet several very good leys cross here. One of them, a Midsummer Sunrise line, passes through my house, and this is a view of the midsummer sun just rising over the roof of the church. It's very prominent on the map because of the number of coincident stretches of road and track which lie along it. It first runs along this stretch of road in Ashford, passes through Laleham Church, and then runs along a long stretch of trackway known as Ferry Lane in Chertsey, half a mile long. After crossing the motorway here, it continues south to go through the grounds of Chertsey Abbey, though just missing the site of the church. It then runs alongside the present parish church along a path called Church Path. The theoretical line just misses the parish church, but we found by dowsing that the actual energy line is 23 paces wide, and so that just about takes in the east end of the church. The line then runs along the mean of Guildford Street, Chertsey, to another church, a more modern one, originally a free church, but now a parish centre for St Anne's Catholic Church. Over the years we've found quite a number of modern and relatively modern churches falling on leys, and we've come to the conclusion that the system is in fact a living system, which replaces lost points by subconsciously impelling people to build certain buildings at certain points. And many of these buildings turn out to be places of worship of various kinds. The line then carries on through this large deciduous clump marked on the 1814 enclosure map as coppice. It then continues to another clump, this time of Scots pines at Timber Hill in Ottershaw, and then goes through another coincident stretch of road going towards Horsell. It then carries on to a spot on Horsell Common called Danewell Hill, where there is a very prominent clump of Scots pines, and in fact this is the point H.G. Wells chose in his book The War of the Worlds for the landing of the Martians. The line finally carries on further south to the church at Worplesdon.